Paddy Power stream all UK and Irish racing live on your mobile, tablet or PC. Unlike some other high street bookies, Paddy Power, you beauty!
Hello and welcome to the Postcast with me, Mark Story. I'm here with the racing expert Brendan Duke, Paddy Powers, Paul Binfield and our very own Racing Post, Nick Watts. Nick, if I can start with you. Grand National, 14 to 1 shot, 1 for Arthur, became only the second ever Scottish trained winner of the race. Impressed?
Yeah, very impressed. I thought it was a very ballsy ride from Derek Fox, and I think it's one that if Ruby had brought off or Barry Garrity would be talking about it like it was a masterclass. I thought it was a fantastic ride. I think the jockeys in front got a bit excited. There was a winner earlier in the day, Fountains Windfall, who broke off from the front and made all. It was good ground. I think they've gone a good pace. Rogue Angel, who was up with the front for a long way, was actually pulled up after the last, so he didn't even make it home. No. Black Lion, who was up with the pace, took it up, 3 out, going really, really strongly. Again, finished 4th, didn't make it home. Derek Fox had the balls to drop 1 for Arthur in, get him going at a pace that he was comfortable with, and he came through to pick up the pieces close home. I thought it was very daring. It was kind of an old-fashioned national ride, if you like, when they say, "Oh, you know, just hunt round on the first circuit and see what's there for you on the second." And I think if you're watching 1 for Arthur, he didn't get a mention for 3/4 of the race.
Did you notice him? Did you think he'd fallen or something? Because he just suddenly seemed like he'd dropped into the race 3 out.
I always, because he was well fancied, I always kind of had him in my sights just to see where he was. But I mean, he was like 3rd from the back, 4th from the back. He was giving the leaders a hell of a start. But you know, he's just come through so strongly, and he stays so well that when he did come with that surge, it was always going to be a winning surge because all the others had done their running. He was the only one left who hadn't, and he saw it out really well. So impressed all around, but very impressed from Derek Fox, who's not an experienced jockey. He's coming back from injury. To do that, I thought was exceptional.
Could you see? I mean, they don't normally do it, Grand National winners, but could you see at the age of 8, 1 for Arthur coming back and winning another one?
Be interesting to see what route they take with him next season, won't it? Obviously, he's going to be higher in the weights. So whether they give him a low-key campaign with one aim in mind next season, I don't know. Or whether they try and pick up a few races beforehand. He wouldn't be out of place in the soft ground Gold Cup, you would say. 3 miles 2 at Cheltenham with a hill at the end, but. Whether that'll be on her agenda, I don't know. I imagine they'll just want to come back next year and try again.
It was strange, wasn't it? It was a very odd race in that, as you say, Rogue Angel went off so quick. Then Black Lion came along and took over and went so quick. Unlike a normal national where another horse has gone on, like Noel Feely did. And then 1 for Arthur's picked up the pieces. Yeah,
absolutely. I don't know what Black Lion must have gone in running, but I imagine it was fairly short because he just took to the place superbly well and jumped tremendously. And he's just run out of puff, and he's done that a few times this season. But I thought they tinkered with a few things at home, and maybe he'd see it out this time. I just wonder if they had their time again. This might seem really overly critical and harsh. Whether Noel Fahidi, if he had his time again, would just hold on to him for a bit longer. And next year, you know, God willing, they get to the race next year, that they just hold on to him until you turn at least the turn for home.
Brendan, what are you taking out of the race? Would you agree with Nick about Black Lion?
Yeah, I suppose Black Lion got the Hedge Hunter trip. Do you remember Hedge Hunter travelled like a dream one year in the National? Again, I'm not sure if there was in running betting back then, but would have gone very short in running and just didn't get home and got a different ride the following year where Ruby rode him and held on to him for as long as he could. So that could work. But of course, the difference now is the National has changed so dramatically since Hedge Hunter, because back then they were my salad days, and they used to just hack around for the first circuit and then the race would start. But now they're just going flat out from the get-go. And I mean, how many horses in the last, I say in the last 10 Grand Nationals, about 50 horses have actually stayed. I mean, I could only see 5 at the weekend. The first 3 who managed to stay, and just a par and Ublon des Obo who need about 10 miles. So you need to strike a balance between the horses who actually stay, what is a vicious stamina test, and the horses who are just too slow. But there's so few horses stay the trip. That's basically what I've been taking out of the last 10 Grand Nationals, I'd say.
So Derek Fox kind of knew that, and that's why he got it so right on the day.
Yeah, I mean, again, as Nick said, a ballsy ride, because if you're not gonna be up with the pace, it obviously brings in luck and running to a great degree. You're going to have to dodge a few bullets on the way around. But I mean, what he basically did as a jockey was he decided how fast the horse could go, and I mean that's what you have to. I mean that's the greatest skill of any jockey, is just knowing what the horse is capable of at any point in the race, and he did that, and things worked out for him, and it was a fine ride.
Maybe it wasn't a great ride; he was just going as quick as possible. That was it, you know. But I mean,
but I mean, it would have been easy for him to panic and to get after the horse and have him on his head, and he didn't do that. He rode him stone cold, which was the way he needed to be ridden. Yeah.
Do you think One for Arthur can come back again next year? Do you think that's what they'll do? Do you think horses can do it off revised weight?
I imagine it's what they'll plan to do. I mean, it's been a real struggle for horses backing up, because you need so many things to go right in the preparation and in the race itself. And I don't know, he'll probably be 10 pounds higher next year, but he'll come back and have a go. He must have some sort of a chance, but I suppose something like a Native River, he looks made for the race, doesn't he? He'll be around next year, so.
Yeah. That's the way you'd be looking.
That's what I'd be looking, yeah.
Paul, looking further down the field, was there anything that back there caught your eye the next time?
No, actually, Mark, I tried to find something, but because a lot of the ones outside the first three or four were beaten quite a long way, there wasn't really. Black Lion, I think, has already been mentioned by a couple of people. Nigel Twiston Davis must be salivating about that horse for races, maybe over 3 miles to 3.5 miles for next year, because I just don't think he stayed, and he certainly had the bookies, very worried when he went clear 3 out, having been severely backed on the actual day. But Black Lion is obviously one to take out of it, and another great spectacle of a national.
How about Rogue Angel? Did you impress with his run? I mean, he was in front for 20 odd fences, wasn't he? But then just run out of puff.
Yeah, he jumped the fences really well for such a long time, and as you say, his jumping was immaculate. But to win a national, you have to stay the trip, and unfortunately, he didn't.
No. Brendan, coming back to you, just looking further back down the field, what would you pick out?
Again, the obvious one is Black Lion, to see could they conserve a stamina for next year. I don't personally think they will be able to. I think because of the nature of the race, I'm not sure that you can ride a horse to stay, but they will definitely try next year. You won't see him in front 3 out next year, I wouldn't think. But I didn't have a lot to take out of the race, I'm afraid, Mark.
No, okay. And Nick, we mentioned before we came on about Measure My Dreams. You thought that was running a nice race until it went at the chair.
Yeah, he was running all right. His jumping hasn't always been the best, and that proved his downfall again, and he went to the chair. It's a pity he couldn't get over that, because once you've done that in the water, you faced all the traps that you're going to face, and, there's a few holes in the fences by then, so would have got easier on the second circuit. I suppose you could look at a horse like Regal Encore, and he's very much an all-or-nothing horse, but I think he came home in 8th, didn't run badly at all, never looked like getting involved, but he's one you think, well, he seemed to take to it, he might come back again next season, but if you're looking at it the other way, Vieux Leon Rouge looked as though he didn't stay again as well, and he's one of those that, you put him in the Beecher Chase over shorter, and he loves it, and he loves the fences, but as Brendan alluded to, it's a fierce test these days, and there's so few horses that absolutely relish it, and One for Arthur was the one that did.
If I was putting you on the spot now for next year, where would your money go at this point?
God, they never back up, do they?
No.
Apart from they just don't do it. Something will happen, or he might run well, and we always have that thought, when Many Clouds won it, and you think, well, he could come back next year and do it again, and Hedge Hunter and the like, and they never quite do it.
No.
I'd give Black Lion the benefit of the doubt about getting home. It was his first season out of novice company.
Yeah.
He will be a year older next season. Now they know that he loves the place. They can, maybe ride him a bit differently, try and conserve him a bit more. So maybe he would be the one.
Okay. it's competition time. Here's your chance to win £25 or €25 and a free bet from Paddy Power. All you need to do is answer this question. What was the SP of Grand National winner 1 for Arthur? What was the SP of Grand National winner 1 for Arthur? Simply tweet your answer using hashtag Postcast and we'll announce the winner on Friday's show.
Get instant access to your winnings with Cashcard Plus, Paddy's brand new card, available to use at ATMs, online or in shops. T&Cs apply. 18 plus. Gambleaware.co.uk.
Right, Nick, there were 20 other races at Aintree apart from the National. On the first day, Bouvedere won easily. Can you see anything beating him next season?
He looked very good, didn't he? He won impressively. He was odds on to do so, so you can say he should have done. But it was a new experience for him, new trip, 2.5 miles. Obviously coming back off, you always have hard races to win at the Cheltenham Festival, so you're never quite sure. But he did it very, very professionally. I imagine it's very much the case that he'll stay hurdling next season and go for a repeat win. I presume, I haven't looked at the betting recently, I presume he's the market leader and he's justifiably so.
Yeah. What are things coming through the ranks from the novice ranks? Anything you've seen that would
the one I'm sure we're going to mention him in a minute, Defi DeSalle. After the triumph, I was hoping they would say they'd stay over hurdles with him next season, and Philip Hobbs mentioned possibly going for the Arkle. And he's owned, obviously, by JP McManus, who also owns Bouvedere. If he stayed over hurdles, I'd be interested in him, but I think that's probably been factored into the betting now. If there was one at a huge price for next year's champion hurdle, I think Let's Dance is a fantastic fantastic mare with a lot of speed as well, and she can win at 2 and 2.5 if she puts up a good show at Punchestown. Hopefully they might be a bit bolder with her next season, not just go down the mare's route.
What would you do with Defi DeSalle? Would you keep him over hurdles, or would you go chasing?
Yeah, there's all the time in the world to go chasing. After that, I don't think he was as impressive this time as he was at Cheltenham, but you can understand that because it's kind of after the Lord Mayor's show in a way. Only 3
weeks, isn't it?
Exactly.
They pinched that. It was 20 days, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah, they'll be delighted. They pinched another grade one and he was workmanlike. But the impression he left me at Cheltenham was of an above-average triumph winner. I know it's hard for them, but he's got plenty of time to go chasing. I think give him a crack, give him a champion hurdle bid next season.
Brendan, what did you make of Bouvedere? Was it just an easy sort of penalty kick against, not much to beat?
Well, you see, I think we're being a touch harsh on the horse in saying that, because you're right. There's no stars around in the division that have run this season. But the new one over 2.5 miles is a very solid horse. The 10th, when he's running to a level, runs to a very good level. And I think it's a fair point Nick makes. I mean, there were 3 horses who put up rampant displays at the Cheltenham Festival: Might Bite, Defi DeSalle, and Beauvoir. And of those, only Beauvoir put up as eye-catching a performance in Aintree. And I mean, he's the coming force. He's probably only had about 7 or 8 runs in his life at this stage. So he's obviously he's entitled to be favoured for next year. There are encouraging noises that Annie might rock up at Punchestown, but it'd be very hard to back Annie Power or Faugheen for the champion hurdle. I think Beauvoir is entitled to be fav. Yeah.
And Defi, what would you do with Defi DeSalle? Keep him over hurdles?
Oh, I'd definitely keep him over hurdles. He just doesn't look like he has the physique to make a chaser to me. Now, it's interesting that Hobbs keeps mentioning chasing, but I don't think I would be of the opinion that, I'll try and keep Beauvoir and Defi apart, because, I mean, if we've learned anything from the shambles that was anti-post betting for Cheltenham this year, it's that you want a full clip and one in the chamber. I mean, Ritchie had the first and second favs for the champion hurdle this time last year, and neither of them showed up. So it's no harm having a strong bench. So I'd say he'll stay hurdling, and he's a big chance.
A full clip and one in the chamber. Do you like facing that, Paul?
Not really. Not really, Mark.
What are the prices for the champion hurdle, by the way?
Well, we make Bouvedere 4-1 favourite now, Mark. After the race, funnily enough, as Brendan said, he was extremely impressive of the 3 big ones from Cheltenham, and we remain 9-2 favourite after the race, but we've seen a bit of money since then. Defi DeSalle is 7-1, unchanged from his price before the race. And then we've got 8-1 for Faugheen and 12-1 Annie Power 14 bar, with question marks about both of those last two.
Which way would you be going at this point on those two, the main two?
In the main two, it's difficult, isn't it, Mark? I mean, you've got a sort of older horse who's a bit more experienced than the 4-year-old in Jeffy Jussoy, but you never know which generation is going to be better. And let's face it, Jeffy Jussoy's done nothing wrong. He's 7 from 7, and he's impressive every time. And you can do no more.
I was pleased when Yanworth went up to 3 miles at Aintree, but I was kind of disappointed when I heard the talk that he might go chasing next season. What do you think about that, Paul?
Well, I think it's great that he is going to go over fences. Alan King mentioned after the race that he could even be better over a fence, so that's exciting. I guess they'll probably start at 2.5 miles and maybe go up to the 3. He's probably going to be useful over both trips. But one thing I was very pleased about, Mark, was that Alan said he's probably going to put him away, which to me seems quite a sensible idea, as he's had a hard enough season. The Champion Hurdle wouldn't have been an easy race, and he's gone and done it well at Aintree. Doesn't owe anyone anything, and I quite like that.
Yeah. Brendan, where are you in the Yanworth camp? You a fan? I mean, I thought it was quite impressive.
You'd have to be a fan of him, wouldn't you? I mean, he tries his heart out. I thought he was in trouble again. He clouded a couple of hurdles, but his 2 best jumps were the last 2 hurdles. He's all heart, this horse. He basically wins almost all the time. So what's not to like about him? It is an interesting dilemma they face. You want him to stay hurdling because the stayers are such a weak division, Mark. Is that
But I've never been a fan of him over 2 miles. When he lost the Champion Hurdle, I thought, go to Aintree, win at Aintree, then go and win the Stayers Hurdle next year. I thought that was what he's made for.
Right.
So I was like, yeah.
No, that's perfectly fair.
That was my view,
I'd be tempted to stay because it doesn't look a strong division, and the horses who won the staying hurdles, well, outside of Penn Hill, I suppose, but the horses who contended in the staying hurdles this year are going chasing. Novice hurdles are going chasing. So there's a lot to be said for that. But it might just be something where he might treat his fences with a little bit more respect, and they might think chasing will be the making of him. But I don't know.
Yeah, sure. What about T for 2 against Q Card? I mean, it's won 2 Grade 1s. Was it something along the line? It wasn't a particularly strong race, or do you think this is a horse that can kind of build up into a Gold Cup contender?
Well, Dave, he's given them a lot more options. I was on a preview before this race, and Bruce Millington suggested the front end was for taking on, and perhaps T for 2 was the one, and I poo-pooed it.
Did you?
But I said he can't go left,
no, dear.
And he jumped every fence as straight as an arrow. There is an argument that maybe they got racing a little bit too early, but. And they came home quite slowly, but I thought he was the moral winner, the actual winner, of course, and the moral winner of the race.
Yeah.
And so he can go left now. So that opens up a few options for them.
It does. And King George wise, Paul, what are your prices?
Well, Mark, we make Thistlecrack the 5-2 favourite. Might Bite, who won again at Aintree for 3-1. 7-1 York Hill. 8-1 the Gold Cup winner Sizing John and Fox Norton, 10-1 Duvan, and it's 12-1 Bar.
What's Jack Adam in that list?
Jack Adam, one moment cooler, is 16-1.
16-1. You interested in that, or what's your take on the King George and T for 2's performance?
I'd agree with Brendan to a degree. I think Paddy Brennan did get racing a little bit far out on Q Card, and I think Lizzie Kelly sat off it a little bit sensibly and again came through late, just had enough in reserve. The amazing thing is, I suppose, looking back at the week now, is that Q Card was beaten at all, because everything else Colin Tizard won by long distances. So for Q Card to kind of let the side down, if you like, was a big surprise. Where they go with him now, I don't know. I think Q Card might have one more kind of last hurrah in him, maybe a Betfair chase, similar to when Corto won it, when everyone had written him off. Wouldn't fancy him for much this time, kind of next year when he's a 12-year-old. But I think maybe the first half of the season he might be able to pinch another Grade 1. Another Grade 1. As for T for 2, ran well in the King George, didn't it, last year? I imagine that's very much where they'll be going again. But Yeah, first win left-handed and done it in a Grade 1, so you can't do more than that.
As you said, it was incredible 3 days for Colin Tizard. He had five winners. I mean, Finian's Oscar, Ping Shu, Fox Norton, Sizing Gadelko. Which of those really, really caught your eye? I mean, I like obviously Finian's Oscar, but I thought Fox Norton ran a cracker too.
Fox Norton to me was a revelation. You know, going up to a new trip, I know that Tizard has said before that, you know, he's just staying on at the end of his 2 miles and he probably wants a bit further now. But, you know, he would have had a hard enough race at Cheltenham. You know, he's chasing Special Tiara all the way up the hill. But he was bang right. It looks like he's wanted 2.5 miles for a long time now. And Sub-Lieutenant is a very solid yardstick in this category. I mean, he's runner-up to Sizing John in Ireland 3 starts ago. Then he finished second to Under So in the Ryanair, so he's a really, really solid horse. And he absolutely pulverised him. And Tizard is now thinking of stepping him up to 3 miles. And whether that's a bridge too far, I don't know. But it's definitely worth a crack, isn't it, I think?
It is. I mean, Tizard's only $3,000 off $2 million for the year. It's been some season. If it hadn't been for that bug, you know, mid-season, he could almost be challenging for the trainers' title.
Well, wasn't he on the cold list approaching Aintree?
He was. He had 1 win. Yeah, he hardly had a winner, had he? Amazing.
Unbelievable how it turns. And he even scooped a 50-1 winner at the Topham.
Yes, Ultra Gold.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, simple game, isn't it? Any other particular highlights for you or a horse to put in your horse tracker for us to note from Aintree?
Yeah, definitely. It was one that I fancied for the 3 mile Grade 1 novice hurdle at the time last week. DeBeast or DBC, I don't know how you say it. Tim Vaughan's horse. All the tipsters were all over it last week. I think Paul Keeley tipped it. I think Tom Seagal tipped it as well. And it almost came good. It finished 3rd behind the World's End. It was only beaten about a length, I think. And he's a half-brother to Don Poley by Cave Tara, I think. So he's superbly bred for chasing. I imagine that's where he's going. Just had a little look at the RSA chase prices before I came down. He's not even given a quote, but he could be a very, very good staying novice chaser next season.
That's a very, very good one. Brendan, any other highlights or also you'd put in your RP horse tracker?
My tracker horses were all on the flat. I suppose the highlight from Aintree for me it was Might Bite, who is the future. He's also the present.
He's the future.
It wasn't quite as impressive as at Cheltenham, but that would have been nearly impossible. But his jumping was just, again, the last 2 runs. I mean, he was never a bad jumper, but he was inclined to make mistakes. He was inclined to look a bit awkward. He's just become such a fluent jumper in his last 2 runs. I don't know how important Nico is to that, because whatever you might say about Nico in a finish, you would have to say he's in the top 2 or 3 jockeys when it comes to presenting a horse at his fence, you know, or hurdles. He's just so decisive, you know, 5 strides from the obstacle, whether the horse is going short or going long. So I think Nico's important to him, but assuming both stay fit, this horse is just going to have a massive year next year.
Well, how big? What's it going to win?
It's going to win $1 million.
What's it going to win?
It's going to win the $1 million. It's going to start, because obviously the temptation would be to start off second season chase. Let's go for the Hennessy. But there's $1 million on the table. Now I don't know how well off the owners are, but surely $1 million. Start off, win the Betfair Chase, grand. Then go and win the King George, grand, and then go and win the Gold Cup. Next thing you know, Jed's a millionaire.
Right, you tell me now. Right, the 3rd leg of that is the one that's going to be the hardest for that horse. You can't deny that.
It'll be okay. He had a couple of looks. He had a couple of looks at the crowd when he was going past the stand at Aintree as well. But just a couple. He's getting better and better. He's settled like a lamb in the race. Jumped beautifully. This is Denman 2.0. This horse. He's gonna be a wrecking ball next year.
A wrecking ball. Okay. Fair enough. I like that. Paul, how do you feel? Follow that up, basically. What's your horse from Aintree?
Well, I'm not quite sure why Leopardstown was held on Saturday on the same day as the national mark. It kind of got lost this year.
It did.
The last couple of years, I've certainly travelled over to Ireland for these classic trials on the Sunday. But the one that I really liked at Leopardstown was Order of the Garter. He won the 2,000 guineas trial by nearly 4 lengths. Gets the mile well, obviously. Probably get 10 furlongs in time. And as Aidan's got Churchill for the English guineas, Caravaggio for the French guineas, I think he'll probably start home for the Irish version, and we put him in at 5-1 mark.
And Aintree?
Aintree, I'll definitely go for Finian's Oscar. I think when he was given the office, he took off like an absolute Ferrari. I think he'll be a great novice chaser. 2 miles, 2.5 miles should be fine. And Robbie Power said he's very, very good, which gives me a lot of optimism for the future.
Head into one of Paddy Power's retail shops where you can watch all live UK and Ireland racing every day. Or head over to Ladbrokes, Coral and Betfred where you can watch Homes Under the Hammer.
OK, let's switch tack and look forward to Good Friday, where we've got Lingfield with the All-Weather Championship finals day and some very good racing at Newcastle. Brendan, how do you see it?
I just had a quick look before I came in, and there were two that stood out to me in the fillies and mares. That a Shadian filly of Kevin Ryan. She's second favourite. I think she should be favourite. She has a wicked turn of foot, this filly, which is useful everywhere, but particularly useful in Lingfield with the short straight. I thought she should be favourite, so she's probably a smidgen of value. And in the mile, Anad obviously looks he's already really, really smart all-weather sort, and he could go again. But just at 7-1, he's only 2-1. Sovereign Debt is 7-1. He added another chapter to his catalogue of unlucky defeats in Kempton the last day. But he also should have won this race a couple of seasons ago. But he looks like he's transferred to Ruth Carr seamlessly. And I think he'll run very well. 7-1, a fair each way price.
Paul, are you going to be there on Friday?
I won't be there Friday, actually, this time, Mark, but I do like the look of a horse called Absolute Blast in the all-weather middle distance final, or the Easter Classic, or however you want to call it. That one's a 7-2 shot. Archie Watson, a trainer I'm not too familiar with, came across him recently at Kempton when I was there, when this horse won from Lambourne, the trainer. Obviously thinks a lot of the horse entered in a Group 2 in Ireland, and he was talking about maybe going stateside in the autumn. So he thinks the world, literally, of her, and it'll be quite exciting.
Any prices you want to highlight for the day?
For that day?
Yeah.
I'll probably do. I've already said Brendan's a shady hand 2-1 in the fillies and mare final. That looks a fair shot. We've moved Freya 13-8, Ray Altra at 5-1, but we should know more about the fields in the next couple of days in the Racing Post.
Right, switching codes quickly onto Easter Monday. Irish Grand National, what are your prices?
Irish Grand National, one moment. Yep, we've got Our Duke as a 7-1 favourite for Jessica Harrington. Mark, last time second in a Grade 1 at Leopardstown. Then we go Noble Endeavour at 12-1. Maldini also at 12-1, Abolitionist at 12-1, lots of money for that. 14-1, Minella Faru Outlander, Pleasant Company, Fletcher's Flyer, and it's 16's Bar.
Brendan, it's tempting to come out of Aintree and the All-Weather Championships and just light on the name Our Duke and think, right, it's kind of been safe for this race, and that's the way I'll go. Is that too simplistic?
No, not at all, Mark. Not at all. We are simpatico when it comes to the Duke, I think. Yeah. It looks made for him, this race. He looks a really strong stayer. The extra 6 furlongs, you would think, if anything, will be a help to him. Novices and handicaps, he's off 157. It looks stiff, but how often do we see it with novices and handicaps? They just have such an edge. That Disco Coney Island form looks really strong, and his jumping improved a lot. He wasn't able to keep up with Disco over, was it 2 mile 5 in Leopardstown? But there's no shame in that. Disco ran really well in the JLT. He's 7-1. He certainly won't be any shorter on the day, and you'll get extra places. So I'd keep our powder dry, but I think we'll use a little powder on this race, Mark.
Nick?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think our Duke is very solid at the top of the market. Maldini did run badly at Cheltenham. I thought he was quite interesting. I just wonder what Willie Mullins is going to throw at this race, because obviously he's got the trainer's title to think about in Ireland. I think I'm right in saying he's never won this race before, which is a very unusual omission, because he's won most things, obviously, in Ireland, Willie. And so I'm just wondering if he might run Bell's Hill. I don't know if it's the plan. I think he's in the entries. I've seen him in the betting. And he didn't run too badly at Cheltenham last time, because he's not a Cheltenham horse. He never runs well there at all. And I thought it was quite brave even to let him take his chance in the RSA, because he's had a few jumping issues. But the thing is with Bell's Hill, whether he does go here or not, he'll go to Punchestown, I assume. He always seems to bounce back. Like I said, he never runs well at the Cheltenham Festival, but he always comes back in the springtime, and he's run well at Aintree in the past.
Yeah.
Didn't go there this year. If he goes to Fairyhouse or Punchestown, I'd be quite keen to be with him because he does finish the season very strongly. If he goes to the Irish National, I think he'd have an each-way squeak.
Thanks, Nick. Right, gents, thank you very much all for your time. We'll be back with you again for Friday's tipping show. Well, hopefully we'll have some hot cross buns in the house. Thank you.
Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive Cash Card Plus. Available to use online, at ATMs, or even down the local. Paddy Power, you beauty.